What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Sports Talk on Tab video. I know it's been a while, but life happens, school. But we're back, and we're going to be back, me and Colin, for the rest of the season, talking, game predictions. And since it's been a while, our biggest takeaways, surprises, and disappointment here. But Colin, good vibes now. Christmas time coming around, the holidays. Everyone's in a good mood, and hopefully, football winding down, best home stretch of the regular season. So it should be fun, but we figured, to start this episode, obviously a lot has happened since our last video. I think we filmed back in week 4. But, overall so far, what would you say, in a good way or a bad way has been some of your kind of biggest surprises or disappointments as a team player, can be generic?
Overall, just the Texans have been kind of disappointing me. Even though I don't like the Cowboys, they've definitely been disappointing me. Like, they usually kind of have a good regular season run. Haven't really been seeing that. A good takeaway, I mean, obviously the Commanders are killing it. Jaden Daniels will probably be Rookie of the Year. And other than that, I mean, everything's pretty much status quo for me,
Yeah, no, I mean, you came up with a lot of great points. Even, me with my Cowboys prediction last year, we can all agree, we at least thought they'd win 10, 11 games. They are a good regular season team. So, obviously part of that's due to injury, but just that defense has kind of not lived up to the hype in the regular season that they anticipated. When I look at biggest disappointment, though, Colin, I think we have to go to one team, mainly just one side of the ball, the Cincinnati Bengals defense. Obviously, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Trey Hendrickson, the only good Bengals defensive player, leads leagues in sacks, but Joe Burrow is having an MVP season, Jamar Chase, offensive player of the year type season, but they haven't been able to win games. They've been a team that I believe have lost 4 games when scoring 30-plus points. That has basically never happened in our lifetime. So that goes to show, how bad the Bengals defense is historically, really. This has been an awful year, wasting one of Joe Burrow's prime years. It's been a shame.
Definitely.
And then I've also had the Texans on my disappointing, and people may be like, 8-5, they're playing well, but the record doesn't really tell. They've had a lot of close games. A 3-point win against a Mac Jones Jacksonville team where they took Trevor Lawrence out. They've had some weird losses to like the Titans, and then their wins just haven't been convincing. But they've had games where they've hung around with the Lions. They picked off Jared Goff 5 times, and you can tip your cap to that, but how do you lose a game when you intercept a guy 5 times is also kind of like, never happens, despite how good the Lions are. So, they were on my list as well. And then obviously, when you go to surprises, I would say one of my biggest surprises was just kind of how bad not how bad, but like how we kind of both predicted the 49ers would not be the same team as we anticipated, but they've fallen off drastically. In my NFC West prediction, I predicted the Rams, and it's probably going to be between them or the Seahawks. So we'll see how that plays out. But the Rams, obviously, with that offense, great. And then this one, hate to be that guy, but I didn't even predict it for my team. The Vikings, 11-2, kind of out of nowhere. You weren't sold on them at the beginning of the season. Still not be sold on them on a playoff run, but regardless, 11-2. I think you didn't even expect that. I didn't expect the diehard Vikings fan. So we thought maybe 6-7 wins with Sam Darnold, but he's kind of, and I don't even think he'll be back with us next year. But Sam Darnold, you always like these stories of guys reviving their careers, whether it be a Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith. So wherever he goes, I think I'm just happy for him, and I think it's kind of more so just how bad the Jets are at developing quarterbacks like Geno Smith, like Sam Darnold. And that's also another story we could talk about, is the Jets just being a disappointment that they are always.
Agreed.
But with that being said, obviously, it's been exciting. But now we're going to get back into our game predictions week by week, see where we kind of fall. And we'll touch on teams we obviously have and as we go throughout this segment. But Colin, to start off, we'll kind of, let you pick one first, and then I'll go.
Yep.
Great. Interesting first game, though, in this 1 o'clock slate that starts in about an hour. We have Dolphins going to Houston. Like we talked about, Texans home team here, 8-5. Dolphins Started off the season really bad, mainly due to the Tua injury. They've kind of bounced back now. They're kind of 6-7, but this
Yep.
is a road game for them against a team that is above 500. So who do you have winning this one?
Like I kind of said before, the Texans, like if you asked me this in the beginning of the year, I would probably be picking the Texans all day. But honestly, I'm probably going to have to go with the Dolphins here. They have a really high-powered offense, and their defense has been doing okay for them. I'm just not really seeing it out of the Texans here. I'm going to go with the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm right on the money with you. So we both kind of had this as a mini upset. But, with the way Tua's been playing since he came back from injury, I really don't see this as an upset. I would say CJ Stroud, whether it be, the Diggs injury, Nico Collins missing some time, has kind of taken a sophomore slump, which I thought was possible. And why I didn't have the Texans win the division. But, sadly, my division winner didn't work out. And the Texans will still win the division despite how mediocre their play has been. But, yeah, I like the Dolphins too. They're more desperate for this game to stay alive. So that should be interesting. Then this slate's going to be really interesting because there's a lot of 50-50 games. I feel like we have the Cowboys with Cooper Rush going to play Bryce Young and the Panthers. And Bryce Young, to his credit, has been playing a lot better since he came back from being benched, and the Panthers look competent, which we haven't been able to say in a while. And this is the first time they're actually favored in a game. But, Cooper Rush hasn't been playing bad for the Cowboys. So who do you – or I guess I'll go first in this one. For me, this was kind of 50-50. I think it's going to be a field goal to decide this. But I think the Cowboys are just slightly more talented. You still have CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons. I think this is going to be a great 23-20 classic where the Cowboys just barely sneak away with this one.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's pretty much a 50-50. I'm going to go the opposite way here, though. I just feel like the Panthers kind of want it more. The Cowboys just aren't feeling like a real team to me. I'm going to have to go with the Panthers here, just been based on how they've been playing.
Yeah, no, the vibes with the Cowboys are very weird. Micah Parsons, what will they do with him in the offseason? What will they do, with Dak Prescott's contract that's kicking in $60 million? They kind of put themselves in a rough hole for the future. But yeah, regardless, Panthers almost pulled one out against the Eagles last week. So if they do win this, I won't be upset. Yeah, like you said, 50-50 for me. Then we go to the Jets versus Jaguars. This is going to be a mid-off. Jets, disappointing all season. Really no way. They just find ways to lose games. Jaguars, also really bad. Obviously, and Mac Jones will be starting this game. So, Colin, who do you have win this one?
Never bet on the Jets. I'm going Jaguars.
I always say that too. Never bet on the Jets. But I just don't. Is there a way Mac Jones can win this? Probably.
Definitely.
The Jets are more talented, right? They gotta.
No, I'm not if on paper the Jets are so much better.
I know, and that's why if the Jets lose this, I won't pick them again for the rest of the season. I think this is another game where I just like the talent slightly more, but it doesn't really matter who wins this. Maybe the Jets want better draft picks or whatever position, but so do the Jaguars. So at the end of the day, another ugly game. Won't be watching much of this on Red Zone. And they probably won't be showing that a lot. But I'll ride with the Jets barely. Got Breece Hall in fantasy, so maybe you can do something for me. Then next game, Bengals versus Titans. Titans have been a team I was kind of secretly high on, and I know you kind of liked Will Levis at some point. But they just find a ways to screw up, and it's not even Will Levis's fault. Sometimes, I know he gets the memes for making some funny gestures, and he has kind of taken a step back, but his receivers just don't help him out at all. And as much as we talked about how bad the Bengals defense is, their offense is going to score 24 at least. This Titans defense is good, but Bengals are going to put up points. That's just what they do. And I like them to win this game by a touchdown probably. Keep their slim playoff chances alive.
Yeah, I think with even how bad the Bengals defense is, I don't think they'll have a huge problem with the Titans here. I think it's Bengals all day. This is pretty much a lock.
Yeah. Well, we think that's a lock until we go to the next game, Ravens-Giants. My cousin will actually be in attendance for this one. Free suite, so he's not paying to see the Giants play because I wouldn't pay $10 to go watch a Giants game. I think we can all agree this is a lock, right?
Yeah.
Ravens Ravens defense has obviously been a little sus, but I think Tommy DeVito or Drew Lock won't give you any problems there. And
No.
the offense is historically great with Lamar and King Henry, so they should be good. Next game, Chiefs Browns. I think this could actually be closer than people give it credit for, just because Jameis Winston could be a gunslinger out there today, throw for 300 yards, maybe a couple touchdowns, but he's going to make one or two mistakes that might cost them. And, you have those zebras out there, with the Chiefs, if it's a close game at the end. And the Chiefs have just found a way to get some lucky bounces this year. And you have Patrick Mahomes. So really no need for me to bet against the Chiefs here.
Yeah, I mean, if the NFL was like 100% legit, I would say like maybe Browns, but they're using the devil magic and shit, so like it's it's the Chiefs.
It is wild the amount of bounces they get, the block field goals. I mean, will this be?
They don't even play that good. Like they play like garbage.
Yeah, they're barely beating Aiden O'Connell and the 2-11 Raiders, and then they're out here. I don't know. It's devil magic, like you said at this point. But yeah, Chiefs will probably win that game. And then we go another 1 o'clock, our last 1 o'clock, Commanders versus Saints. Like you talked about, Jane Daniels has been a great story, especially at the beginning of the year. They kind of skid a little, but they bounced back, winning their last game. I think they'll continue a little streak here. Saints, Derek Carr's out, so Spencer Rattler, I believe, is getting the start today. So while Saints, may keep this a little scrappy, Commanders, I think, have more to play for. They're going to be desperate. So Commanders for me win this game.
Yeah, Commanders are the better team here. I completely agree. I don't think the Saints really have much of a shot here.
Yeah. And then, although it is funny how the Saints are 5-8 and only 2 games back in their division, that's how bad the NFC South is. So I guess they are playing for something.
Yeah, true.
And then, Colin, to start the 4 o'clock slate, we got some great games here. We have Steelers versus Eagles, Battle of Pennsylvania, but in Philadelphia, 10-3 Steelers, revived with Russell Wilson. Eagles have been obviously amazing. Saquon MVP discussion. It's been a very interesting, week. Eagles barely beat the Panthers. There's some AJ Brown, cryptic stuff going around with the teammates. So I don't know if that'll play into your factors anymore, but I'll let you go first. Who do you have win this game?
I'm going with the Steelers here for sure. I just like their team as a whole better. I feel like they just play really well. I think they got a solid defense. I think the Eagles are just like on paper, probably the Eagles are the better team. But I just like their vibes are just weird. I don't really like the way they click. I don't like the way they play. I think that if the Steelers play like close to their best ball, I think it won't even be that close.
Yeah, this game was 50-50 for me, and I would honestly probably ride Steelers with you if George Pickens was playing in this game, and I don't know if he'll be out, so if that will affect your pick, let me know. But for me, I don't love the Eagles' passing attack, but you get on the ground with Saquon. I think they'll find a way to barely win this. Like I said, Steelers. Last week with George Pickens out, you could see the offense was kind of neutralized. They still won against Cleveland, mainly because Cleveland's offense couldn't do anything. I think the Steelers defense will keep this close. It's going to be one of those ugly 20-17 games, mainly because the Eagles defense is also really good. But I think at home, they'll just barely get enough. But if George Pickens was playing, I'd honestly be with you on this one. I would take Pittsburgh. But at home, just one of those games where Philly finds a way to win and the coach does some cringy celebration at the end. But with that being said, then we move into the next game, Colts at Broncos. This game, Broncos have been one of the biggest surprises for me. I also forgot to mention them. Nix has been playing some great ball. That defense is elite. They're at home in this one. I think Anthony Richardson, I still like him. He's gonna have his ups and downs though. So for me in this one, I'm just gonna go with the better team at home. I just think Bo Nix and the Broncos fighting for that last wild card spot will keep their playoff hopes going and win this game.
I completely agree. I don't even think is Richardson's back?
Yeah, they kind of been flopping back and forth, but yeah, he's been playing the last couple of weeks. Both teams are coming off their bye week.
He was honestly one of the biggest busts of the year. Now that I think about it, I'm not really liking the Colts there at all. I really think the Broncos will have it.
Yeah, it will be definitely tough for them to overcome adversity in this game, especially in Denver.
Definitely.
Then the next game. This game was interesting to me. Buccaneers versus Chargers. Buccaneers last week took sole control of the NFC South. They're 7-6. They were, I believe, they're riding like a little bit of a win streak here. Baker Mayfield's a gunslinger. Kind of love his game, but they're very pass heavy. Chargers defense has been amazing. You have Herbert there. For me, this is I'll let you go first because for me this was very 50-50.
Yeah, this is super 50-50 for me. Um, Honestly, it really comes down to like who plays better in games like this, and it's honestly for me, it's the Buccaneers. I mean, they just play better in situations like this. The Chargers are like known fumblers when it comes to games like this, and I just can't trust to put my bets on that.
Yeah, the public and a lot of like quote unquote analysts, but that's never really what they are liking the Chargers in this one. But for me, I'm honestly with you in this one. I think the Chargers have a great defense, but I just don't trust their weapons. Baker Mayfield, he's been a gunslinger, a lot of touchdowns. He does throw a lot of picks. So if the Chargers were to win this game, it'd obviously be intercepting Baker Mayfield a couple times. But just the weapons, you have Bucky Irving in the backfield. Still Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. They're going to put up points, I think, even against the Chargers. I think it's going to be one of those scrappy games. And I think the Buccaneers will just do enough to win. Again, I do like the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh. They're kind of turning it around, but they just don't have the weapons yet. I think Buccaneers will just put up more points. Simple as that. So obviously winning. So we both have that game being a win for Tampa Bay. And then arguably game of the week, could be game of the year. We have the Buffalo Bills going to Detroit in a game where Bills are looking to bounce back on defense in a shootout with the Rams last week. That was game of the year. Lions 12-1. They're riding an 11-game win streak. I think this game's going to be great. But for me, I'm riding the upset. I just think, the Lions have a lot of injuries on their defense right now. I think this is going to be a shootout. It's in the Dome, so that will help Detroit. Detroit's going to be able to, put up points because the Bills defense we saw last week is susceptible, but I don't think they're going to be as bad. They're going to be motivated. They got embarrassed by the Rams. And the Rams are a good team, but they're no Detroit. I think Josh Allen is the MVP of this league, so he will prove that why. I think they'll win a close game. It's going to be a shootout, but Keon Coleman should be back, and the Bills, have surprisingly been one of my surprises. I thought they'd take a step back with Diggs and some of their missing weapons, but they've looked amazing. But
I agree.
Detroit's the favorite here. But give me Buffalo in the upset. You know what? Why not?
Yeah, and honestly, like the upset is like not even that big of an upset because like the Bills are like pretty much 50-50 here in my opinion. I think this game could definitely go either way. I just think the Bills have a little bit more to prove here.
Yeah, exactly.
The Lions are kind of like already proved themselves pretty well going into playoffs, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the MVP Josh Allen.
Yeah, no, I love that. So we've ridden a lot of close games. So far, only differences are Cowboys, Panthers, Jags, Jets, Eagles, Steelers. So 3 so far. Then we move into the last 4:00 game where your Patriots, Colin. I don't know how your Drake May has been looking pretty solid this year. So I know the future is pretty bright. They go into Arizona though, where the Cardinals have been skidding a little bit, but they're in contention and have, to me, they're 6-7, still fighting for a wild card spot. I think this is just one of those games where the Patriots could easily upset, but the Cardinals have more to play for. I think the Patriots are, at this point, just trying to get a high draft pick too, build around Drake May, get him some weapons, improve that O-line. I think the Cardinals will just find a way to win this just because they're more talented.
Agreed. I mean, I can see Gerard Mayo fighting for his job in this game, kind of like just trying to get a win to stay around. But
he said some weird quote. I don't know if he was just like something about like not trying to win game. It was really weird. I'm not sure he's the guy.
I don't think so.
Look for a coaching change at the end of the year. That wouldn't surprise me.
I can picture that. I don't know. Honestly, I don't think the Patriots really have it here. I think the Cardinals have so much more to play for, and the Patriots, I don't even know if
Drake May's a dog. I'll give you guys that. Even with the limited weapons, he's finding a way to produce.
I agree. I just honestly can't really go with the Patriots here. It'll probably be the Cardinals.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. And then the last game of today's slate, an absolute banger. They nailed this week for scheduling. The Packers traveled to Seattle, late night game, Seahawks, first place in the NFC West. Kind of been an up and down year, but Geno Smith, for the most part, has been balling. JSN, kind of a breakout year. But the Packers, 9-4, still, slim NFC North championship hopes. But there are two teams above them, but they are a solidified playoff team. Jordan Love has been kind of up and down also, kind of, high passes, makes the flashy plays, does throw some picks. The defense is kind of, you have Xavier McKinney, who can make a lot of, they're kind of more a turnover reliant defense. They do give up a lot of yards. But this should be a great game. But, this came down to really who I think they both have similar positives and flaws. This came down to who I like more at the quarterback position. And I'm riding slightly Packers here on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, this is kind of tough for me. I honestly feel like the Seahawks are a little more put together for this game.
Yeah, they are at home, but
yeah,
Packers
they are at home.
lost to the
I just
Lions.
feel like they again have a little bit more to prove here than the Packers do. And
Yeah.
Jordan Love's so 50-50 for me. Like he'll have a really good game and then a really bad game, and it's just I don't feel like putting my money on that.
And people praise, and this is what I get sick of, people praise the Packers for like waiting so long to play Jordan Love. And I'm like, you waited 4 or 5 years, so he misses all that time. And now you had to pay him $60 million, where I'm not even sure he's not worth that. He's not playing like he's worth that right now. He obviously is flashy and can still improve, but he's not worth $60 million. And now you have to build a roster of limited money around him. It was kind of a weird method. He's obviously still a really talented quarterback, and they're going to be good, but I'm not sure that was the right move. And I'm kind of, sick of that praise that they get for sitting him for 4 years.
I agree completely.
So you're going Seattle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be a great game. Tonight we'll tune in for that. And then we have a Monday night doubleheader, which is kind of a little weird. But first off, Bears, Vikings. Colin, I know you don't like the Vikings, but if there's one victory lap you could take on the division rival, I remember you weren't high on Caleb Williams, and hasn't been all his fault. He's had some great flashes, but man, what a disappointment the Bears have been. Firing head coach, OC. I think their passing game coordinator at the start of the year is their head coach. How many times do you see that much of a promotion? It's been disaster. Yeah. Maybe the Bears can be better off next year, but I think even as I'll call you the biggest Vikings hater, I don't think there's a way you can go against them at home in this one.
Yeah, one thing I'll definitely say is I'm so over teams like firing coaches like midway through the season. Like I don't really get it. Like I feel like you're just making your team worse for like the rest of the year. Like there's no way they're gonna get like better unless they're really like truly like haven't won a single game. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's a bad move. I feel like you should just like really take the time to like kind of scout out new coaches, stuff like that, and maybe just see how it plays out, But yeah, I can't wholeheartedly go with the Bears here at all. So I guess it'll be Vikings.
Yeah. I think one thing is sometimes teams get a morale boost from firing a head coach. You see it for like 1 or 2 weeks. But the thing is the Bears fired their offensive coordinator. Their morale boost was there. They were about to beat the Packers. Then they get their field goal blocked. And then it's like, okay, now let's fire a head coach. And then it's like, no, we're all set. And the 49ers, who haven't been good this year, destroyed them last week, I believe.
I had Bears money line on that game too.
I did. I picked the Bears too. So that's saying why I'm probably never picking the Bears again, because we saw our stat. If you just got up, walked to your kitchen, and walked back, you had more yards than the Bears did in the first half. So they had 2 yards. So if you just got up and walked 9 steps, you had more yards than the Bears in the first half last week. So that was embarrassing. Obviously, I don't think it'll be that bad, but Vikings 11-2. They are a pretty good team, so it's going to be tough for them to win that one, especially on the road. And then last game, Falcons versus Raiders. The Falcons, boy, 6-3. I think they had a 4-game lead a month ago. They've lost that now. They're 6-7. Kirk Cousins, turnover machine. Threw 2 against his former team, the Vikings, last week, and was supposed to be a revenge game, but looked ugly. I think the Raiders here, though, are just so bad. this has to be the game Kirk Cousins at least looks good or mediocre. And I think they'll just do enough to keep their playoff chances alive because they're still fighting for that division. So Raiders, I mean, I don't know, Aiden O'Connell, Desmond Ritter, whoever the hell's playing for them, it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, I mean the Falcons kind of got a layup here. It's hard to go with the Raiders here for sure.
Yeah, it'd be hard if I had a choice between the Raiders or Oregon football. I mean, I don't know who I'd pick. Obviously, the Raiders would win, but you had to think about it for a second. But yeah, that's just kind of how bad the Raiders have been. But overall, we have 4 games we're different on. We'll recap: Cowboys versus Panthers, Jags versus Jets, Eagles versus Steelers, which should be a great game, and then Packers versus Seahawks. Some of the games have both upsets were the Buccaneers Chargers, so we'll see how that pans out for us, and the Bills versus Lions. I think those will be some exciting matchups, and also the Dolphins versus Texans in a kind of mini upset, but I think the public's 50-50 on that. With that being said, like I said, we'll be back here for the home stretch of the regular season into the playoffs. Should be fun, best time of the year. But with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.